Welcome back YouTube. On today's quick flick, we're going to make a cross member for this 72 Chevelle. We're going to run it about 10 inches out or so, and then we'll have a plate on there where we can disconnect the middle of the support. Right, so to run 10 inches out, we're going to run a cross brace to that plate, and it'll unbolt, clear our exhaust, clear the transmission, and it looks like a beautiful piece rather than using your standard plate. This is a Hellwig kit. So it actually came with the supporting brackets for your original transmission, and I'm just not a fan. So we're going to go ahead and make our own. As you can see, I made some rough cuts. These are going to mount to the frame, right? Both sides mount to the frame. There'll be a plate here. It'll actually be like this. So there's going to be a plate here, and this is going to sit right above this, I'm hoping, and we might be able to bolt it straight to it. We'll have to see once we get it together. But we'll tack all this in place. We're going to go ahead and weld these frame supports in. And again, this is going to be the plate, and this is going to be the piece that disconnects. And this is where the transmission is going to mount to. We'll add a tab to this, of course put a piece of angle underneath. And same with this. If we weld this in and it comes up and bolts to this cross member, then we're going to also weld in a brace there. To make sure the transmission support itself, the piece we're going to be unbolting is nice and straight. We're going to use a straight edge. Make sure everything's nice and tight. The idea of the transmission support was that we could put a plate on both ends and match it to the supports we put on the frame itself. We're going to be able to put 3 bolts in. One on the side, one on the top, one on the side. One on the side, one on the top, one on the side. And it'll come out with 6 bolts all together. We'll use grade 5 or grade 8 bolts. And we're going to simply cut off what's excess. We're going to measure it, make sure it's centered, cut off the excess. But before we do that, we need to go ahead and put the pad on here and make sure that it's going to sit where we want it. So now that everything's fit in place, I went ahead and put the transmission mount on it, and it looks like I'm going to have to put a shelf on the top of this, and it's very, very close, but I just want to make sure that we put a preload, if you will, on that mount and make sure that everything's going to fit properly. I need to make sure my drive shaft is aligned with my pinion. And everything's perfect right now, so that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. I'm going to go ahead and take these measurements, mark this cross member, go ahead and weld the plates together, put everything together. Before I weld those plates on, I'm going to take 2 plates, match them up, take them to my drill press, and punch them out, bolt them together. And what that's going to do is make sure that it's perfectly aligned when I weld everything up. And then I can unbolt it and it'll work as it should.
Your serpentine, will you give it to me? It seems what's left of my human side is slowly changing in me. Will you give it to me? Looking at my own reflection, when suddenly it changes, violently it changes. Oh no, there is no turning back now. Woken up the demon, the enemy. Get up, come on, get down with the sickness. Get up, come on, get down.
We're actually using the transmission bracket shelf that came with the Hellwig kit. It's not meant to hold the transmission itself, but it'll work just fine for our application. I went ahead and marked our holes after lining it up with the transmission mount. Now we're going to put our bracket back in, set it in place, bolt the shelf to it, and tack it in place. Now that our pad's mounted to our plate, we can go ahead and put load on this cross member before we weld everything up one last time. We're going to put load on it, go ahead and get rid of the jack. We're going to check our pinion to tail shaft angle. We're going to make sure everything's nice and straight before we weld it in, because once we weld it in, yes, we'll be able to move the piece later, but that's what we got. As you can see, everything clears fine. We're clearing exhaust. We're good. We've got plenty of space. And it's going to drop about another 1/4 inch or so when I lower it, so we're completely good for space. The nice thing about this piece is you have a custom piece. If I would have paid $400, I still would have had to alter that piece because we did so much work to these frame rails. You're gonna have to be patient with these things. If you're not going to keep going, right? You're just going to give up. So if you guys enjoyed the video, go ahead and subscribe. If you want to subscribe or watch another video, we have plenty of them.